Moving on to the multicolor section, we have a very, I guess you could say, unique planeswalker coming up in the, oh hell, it's a new Nissa, but this time it's blue and green instead of just green. Honestly, I don't really get the flavor of Nissa going blue, but heck, it's a pretty interesting planeswalker, considering you can pay X into it and have it start out with X loyalty. While it can be used for cheating creatures, I really feel like that -6 could have been a little bit better. I really feel like those creatures could have stayed creatures and not just gone away after a turn. But honestly, there will be games where that will be enough to win the game. Frankly, I think this is a little weird and kind of a flavor fail in my opinion, but I'm sure it will be useful for something. Moving on, we have a very unique legend in Sam the Dissenter. This thing has flash, but it also has a plethora of other abilities that will make it just absolutely devastating. Yet, for some reason, even though you're going to be likely attacking with it every turn, it has the option to untap other creatures, which I guess could be nice if you run a lot of exert creatures. But frankly, I think you'd rather want to be attacking with this more than just, well, untapping your creatures. That just seems kind of weird. This will likely see some play in EDH, and another fun fact is I think you could actually run this in red, green, and white commander decks simply because of that activated ability, which has the ability, I guess you could say, the ability of a white mana symbol, so it will, well, I guess you could say, likely be seen in those decks. Next up, we have Nib the Worthy, and this is kind of a weird Minotaur that supports Minotaur Tribal, but it also kind of acts like kind of a Hypnotic Spectre. While I am a big fan of Hypnotic Spectre, I feel like, in a way, this really isn't as cool. I mean, it does give you other abilities for Minotaurs, but Minotaur Tribal is really kind of more of a casual thing. Honestly, this may actually see some play, and it may actually be a general in someone's EDH deck, but frankly, I feel like it's really more of a casual thing, and I think it's mainly because it doesn't have that much evasion. It just has first strike. It's just a little bit lacking from this point of view. Next up, we have Hapatra, which is not quite as synergistic with a Black Sun's unit because it will kill her as well, but it will give you a lot of snake tokens if you manage to do a lot of attacking with this legendary creature. Like Nib, this may also see some play in EDH as a general, but you're going to need a lot of things to work, and frankly, it's going to need a lot of efficiency and a lot of spells that use -1/-1 counters. Get you the most snakes. Snake party, I guess. Next, we're talking some more ramp with Bounty of the Luxa. Whatever the Luxa is, it must really like giving us cards and mana because, in a sense, this will get you to 8 mana on turn 5 if it goes to the according to plan. You'll also get a card in the process, but it kind of shifts between giving you some mana and giving you some cards. So the only problem I see with this card is you may not get what you want when you need it, but honestly, getting 8 mana on turn 5, if not more mana if you've been ramping, is actually really sweet. You'll likely be able to do something pretty bombastic with the mana you get. In addition to the Luxa, we also have the Weaver of Currents, which, well, gives you a lot of mana for the mana you put in. 2 additional mana that turn will give you 6 mana on turn 4, and as we know, a lot of 6 power creatures or 6 mana creatures are really, really powerful and available at 6 mana. While On-Crop Champion seems to really work well with creatures that use Exert, it will be exerted as well. Maybe if you have 2 of them, you can actually untap both of them and all your other creatures. Heck, that does seem kind of fun, but honestly, that does take a lot of mana, and frankly, I feel like it would be better used with, I guess you could say, other tap effects and tapping abilities that will allow you to use this to its greatest extent. Next, I want to talk about the Wayward Servant, which, if you have other zombies, you can actually make your opponent lose a lot of life and get a lot of life in the process. The thing I'm really interested in this card is seeing if anyone can actually blink another zombie with something indefinitely and drain your opponent entirely, leaving some pretty degenerate wins. Now, a lot of the other multicolored cards in the set aren't really multicolored. They're the Aftermath cards, but each half of the card is a different color. Honestly, there are a lot of really good ones that I really like, but some of them, like I said before, are a little, well, I guess you could say, conservatively cost. I feel like it could have been cost down a little bit, and I really feel like, let's just face it, there are other cards that do the same thing as these cards, just for a lot less mana. But out of all of them, I would have to say my favorites, or the ones that I can potentially see play in Standard or any other constructed format, will be Heaven and Earth, which combines Hurricane and Earthquake. Failure to Comply, which combines kind of a remand effect with another card that's kind of like a one turn Nevermore. Reduced to Rubble, which combines a slightly higher mana leak with, I guess you could say, almost kind of like a Turf Wound effect, but not quite. It just prevents lands from tapping, which I feel like could set our opponent back at least a turn. And Rags to Riches, which I guess you could say is the Massacre plus a very weird take on something like a Blatant Thievery in a way. Like I say, I feel like these are my favorite and will likely see the most play. The others I feel like just are very situational, and let's just face it, I feel like there are other cards in the formats, or other formats that do what they do for, well, I guess you could say, a lot less.
I feel like you are cutting corners. There are several cards you haven't mentioned before.
I'm not. I'm doing what you said. I'm just allowing these people watching my video to be informed that maybe it's not the best to play this card when you can play something else.
Yes, but you didn't cover my favorite card. Prepare to fight.
Why is this your favorite card? I mean, aren't you your favorite card? I mean, you could get Prey Upon, which does the same thing for, like, just a lot less mana. Why is this your favorite card? It makes no sense.
Lifelink makes it special.
You're ridiculous.